Welcome patrons, subscribers, and friends of the channel to another Ingenuity for the Win video. This week we're looking at how to fix a condenser fan on a fridge. This could be our most niche Ingenuity for the Win video or our most widely applicable. It all depends on the fridge that you have and the issues that you're experiencing. If your fridge is struggling to keep cool, it's usually one of two things. 80% of the time it's your condenser motor, and usually the other percent of the time is the issue of your defrost thermostat being out. For us, the issue was the condenser motor, and I want to show you how we fixed it, because on our fridge it's more than a hassle and would have resulted in probably me replacing the fridge. Let me introduce you to the everyday condenser motor. This condenser motor has been put on hundreds of different models since the 80s and continues into models to this present day. You'll notice the condenser motor is relatively small, has 3 mounts on the back, and a sealed bearing on the back. On the front of the condenser motor, you'll see the spindle that holds the fan. This spindle is located right here. This spindle is where the fan attaches to the unit, and the fan blows air towards the spindle and the back of the fan unit. As you can see, this spindle has a little bit of play and moves in and out. That's because there is only one bearing that holds the spindle, and it's at the back of the fan. Another unique aspect of these motors is there's a gap here between the spindle itself and the body of the motor. A lot of dust can go into this as the air is moving in a direction from the spindle to the back of the fan. So the air is moving in this direction, which has a tendency to blow dust and debris inside of that gap between the spindle and the motor itself. On my motor, this gap here at the top was also very wide and would also allow dust to get into my motor. This motor, replacement motor, is much tighter at the top. So the issue on my motor, I found, was it was full of dust and other debris, which would end up slowing it down. You notice at the back of the motor there is no way to get to the bearing itself. It's a sealed bearing, and the only way to lubricate that bearing is to do it from some other point in the motor, which is what I tried to figure out how to do. On most replacement motors, they simply have wires coming directly out of the motor, which allows you to clip your old motor wires and simply connect them up directly to this new motor. However, many of the older motors have a proprietary plug, and this plug was my saving grace. You'll see that in a moment. I apologize for the shaky videos coming up. You'll notice here as I look at the back of my fridge and lift up the air divider that my fan is not spinning. This is not a good sign. As I struggled to get the air barrier out of the way, it accidentally tapped the fan, starting it spinning. This is my first sign that something was wrong with the motor. You'll also see in front of the fan motor on my fridge is a myriad of cooling pipes and tubes. Here's an example of one, and there's a couple more that are in the way if I were to ever try to remove this fan by removing the 3 bolts on the back and the power cable itself. Here's another, and the one directly on the condenser pump itself is also in the way of me getting to and removing this fan and motor, which became my biggest concern, as I would probably do more damage to the fridge removing this motor than trying to fix the motor itself. In desperation, I began to try to find a way to clean out and free up this motor. You'll see here the plug that goes onto the motor. After disconnecting the power from the wall, I decided I would start with disconnecting this as well. I then placed a rag underneath the motor in an attempt to catch any solvents or oils that I was going to put through the motor. I then removed the plug using a Leatherman and my fingers. There's a small clip on the back of the plug that the Leatherman helped crunch down, and then I could easily pull the rest out with my fingers. It's very difficult to get around all these cooling tubes to even unplug the motor, let alone remove it. And then I found my saving grace while investigating this plug. You'll see here in the back of the plug, right between the silver and the black, a small gap in the frame of the motor. It was this gap that I put some silicone spray in and spun the motor and moved the drive shaft in and out, making sure that the lubrication got to the very back of this bearing. Tons of lubrication spilled out of the bottom of the fan during this process, but I continued to feed it and spin it and move the shaft in and out until the fan spun smoothly and quickly. Here again is the image of a new motor with the shaft moving in and out as well as spinning. The gap around the shaft is another place you could spray in spray to get it to the back of the motor if you do not have a gap at your plug. After spinning the motor for some time and plugging it all back in, the fridge has been running great for a while now. I hope this helps you. Again, be aware that if your motor stopped, it must have stopped for a reason. Luckily, my reason was it was simply crudted up with dirt and needed lubrication. Hopefully yours is the same, and this video can save you time and effort from removing the whole motor and replacing it. Hopefully this video has been helpful. If it has, please subscribe and check out our Patreon page as well. Thank you again from everyone here at Transcendent Studios. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one.